Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We call this regular meeting to order. We will ask that you will silence your cell phones at this time, and we'll have our roll call. Mr. Clerk.
Dominic.
Present.
Lyndon Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn.
Present.
Bowman. Cawthorn.
Present.
Watts. Middleton.
Present.
Hello.
Atkins.
Here.
Chavez. Smith.
Here,
Lewis
sir.
Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We will have our prayer by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn, and we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Please stand.
We all bow our heads and look to God. The eternally gracious, eternal Father, we come this evening with a bow down and humble heart. We are grateful and thankful to Heavenly Father for the individuals that are assembled here today, both our elected officials, staff, and our citizenry. We pray to Heavenly Father that the information that's discussed before this body will be discussed in a manner that is pleasing in your sight and edifies this parish for years to come. We pray to Heavenly Father that everything will be done decently and in order. In Christ Jesus' name, we do offer this petition. Amen.
Amen.
All face the flag, repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I like that.
Thank you, commissioners. At this time, Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
I have none.
I have none either. Next item.
Next, we move to citizen comments.
Okay, citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please note, citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, item listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with this limitation in mind. Mr. Clerk, do you have any cards?
The only thing we have Mr. Ken Krepp today.
President Jefferson.
Yes, and he already has a presidential privilege. Mr. Kraft, would you please come up?
Well, thank you. Ken Kraft, 157 Archer, Shreveport, 71105.
Welcome, sir.
And I want y'all to behave because I still could sell Louisiana back to Napoleon. So, and the quick, my favorite 15-second story in this costume was 4 years ago on Saturday the 4th, heavy rain under the tent. I hadn't recited yet, and Mayor Tyler and I had a visit, and then I walked away, and a little girl, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Mr. Jefferson." She put her hands on her hips, turned to her mother, and said, "Mama, he is not George Jefferson." So, these are the words of the Second Continental Congress, Thomas Jefferson, July 4th, 1776, in Philadelphia. I'm going to do about half of it and leave out the 27 litany paragraphs. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish them, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles, and organizing its powers on such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to institute new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies. Such is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain, George III, boo, is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object over the establishment of these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. And here's where I'm going to fast forward beyond the 27 abuses. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We now, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these United Colonies solemnly publish and declare that these United Colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved of all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance upon the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. God bless the USA.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft,
Thank you.
for reminding us that freedom isn't actually free, and that just because we do have freedom, it doesn't give us the right to do whatever we want to do. It gives us the opportunity to do what is right. God bless you, and thank you for sharing that.
Amen.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to adopt the record session minutes from June
So
20th.
moved. Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Mike Middleton. That was seconded by Commissioner Lewis Johnson. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 9-0. Next item.
Next, we move to visitors, except, our visitors have asked to postpone to a later date, so they will come back at
Okay.
another time. We move to special resolutions, special resolution of recognition to Miss Megan Cruz, Miss Louisiana.
Okay,
So moved.
second. Please stand. Did you want me to join you, or are you?
Come on, no,
good?
come on, President.
I can step over here. Well, if we don't have anyone to stay, if I'm, you come,
I'll take notes. Come with this?
Yes.
I'll take care.
thank you.
I know.
John, that's a fine.
And you do this. All right. Resolution of recognition to Miss Louisiana Megan Cruz. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who have gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in so doing reflect favorably and positively upon their home community. And whereas Miss Megan Cruz, a Bossier City native and senior in marketing, advertising design at Louisiana State University, Shreveport, has earned the title Miss Louisiana Saturday, June 22nd at the W.L. Jack Howard Theater in Monroe, Louisiana. And whereas Miss Cruz, serving as Miss Louisiana Watermelon Festival, picked up the win during her talent competition on her way to the Miss Louisiana title in Monroe. Megan has also held Miss Louisiana Outstanding Teen in 2014. Megan has held leadership roles in the Northwest Louisiana YWCA LEAD program, Bossier Parish Step Forward program for elementary literacy, and the Northwest Louisiana YWCA. Megan's duties include the official hostess of the State of Louisiana spokesperson for the Children's Miracle Network Hospital, Vantage Health Plan, Propane Dealers of Louisiana, and the Louisiana Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports.
And whereas beyond her visible beauty and charm, Megan's leadership and service to the community and the Louisiana State University Shreveport campus is important to her. She has been very active in the Student Government Association, serving most recently as SGA president. She has a deep personal interest in the citizens and issues of Caddo Bossier parishes and the state of Louisiana. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal and regular session this 3rd day of July 2019 that it does hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expressions of congratulations and appreciation to Megan Cruz, Miss Louisiana 2019, for her praiseworthy achievements and for representing Northwest Louisiana as elegantly to the state and nation. Signed, President Stormy Gage Watts, Vice President Mario Chavez.
Y'all can all sit at this time.
Megan, I do have something from the former Miss Louisiana. She sent me this morning that she wanted me to read. She said, Megan Cruz, and this is, of course, Lauren Vizza. She said, Megan Cruz has the unique opportunity to continue representing North Louisiana on a national stage. She represents all the best Shreveport Bossier has to offer. She's creative, driven, and inspiring, and community-minded. Good luck this year, and many you continue being one of the best of 318. Lauren Vizza.
318.
So, congratulations. Thank you, Megan.
We have a commissioner on board who would like to offer some congratulations to you, Ms. Cruz, if you would come back to the podium.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for coming. It's wonderful. I know this takes a toll, and it's very hard work for all you do. And thank you for being a part of our community, LSUS community, Bossier, Caddo Parish. We wish you the best of luck and look forward for your future success. And we really do mean it from the bottom of the heart. Thank you for coming here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Caddo Parish and Bossier Parish both have been such a huge part of my heart. It's a community that's given so much to me for years, and it's an honor being able to give back for the years that I have, and now being able to serve on a larger platform and in an even broader capacity is just an incredible opportunity. Thank you so much for having me today and presenting me this and honoring me today. But truly the honor is mine to be able to serve Louisiana, and I look forward to the year ahead and everything to come. And I hope to make you guys proud throughout my year. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Next item, Mr.
We
Clerk.
need to
This time we
vote.
need to vote on.
Oh, yes, we
the
do.
motion.
Thank you. Please vote. And that passes 9-0.
Next, we have a special resolution of recognition for Colonel Stephen DePeisler's 100th birthday.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by the chair, and that was seconded by Commissioner John Atkins. I just wanted to say that I wanted to make sure that we adopted it in regular session so that we could acknowledge Colonel D's 100th birthday. He's worked with the Veteran Celebration Committee for many, many years until he's gotten, to that age where he just can't get out like he used to. But he was the very first one who actually sent me this email to invite me to this 100th birthday. So he's still doing well, and he's inviting people to come out and celebrate with him, which is definitely something to celebrate. Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to reinforce your words of praise and support for Colonel DePeisler. I have run across Colonel DePeisler for many years through my services at Barksdale. He's always engaged out there in helping both our active service members and our veterans. So I just wanted to recognize him for his many accomplishments. So thank you very much for putting this on the agenda today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments. Please vote. And that passes 9-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Dr. Wilson.
Madam President, we don't have anything today to report.
Okay.
Happy 4th of July to one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Same to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, ma'am. At our desk, we got this 2020 operating capital improvement budget. We're gonna
Schedule.
talk about that now or later? The timeline.
Yeah, we're just trying to,
Passing it out.
it's the
Okay.
schedule.
Okay,
Schedule.
so I got one thing that's wrong. The second line, you got July 1, 2019 due date for funding requests under NGOs. And you got it Friday. So that's not, the first is not Friday. So is it the 5th or is it the 12th or is it the 19th or is it
The first was
the
Monday.
26th?
We'll send out a revised one. We'll
Okay,
send out
so the NGO applications are due back?
They're already due back on the 1st.
Okay, so what about new organizations? So if new organizations want to apply, then they gonna already miss the deadline of the due date of it being turned in. So,
We mailed out a letter to all of the organizations that.
that's all the ones who got funding previously.
Well, and we had calls for people that wanted,
New ones.
applications. Commissioners called and said add this organization to the list, and those people got, applications as well back in May.
Okay, so if we had this audit that just had, and you had discussion of some potential changes that we should be doing to the audit, to the NGO process, then if we send the application out as it is, then we're gonna still have the same results as we already have. So I guess we should have modified the application some, or put some kind of stipulations in there, or put some other guidelines in there before we sent those out and requested them back, in my opinion. But
Yes, sir. We didn't want to delay the process because the meeting occurred last Thursday, and that process started way earlier than that. So we can, if you choose to, you can modify it and use it later on. But we could take into account that the applications as they are should be considered as they are.
well, yeah, they have to be now if you already sent them out and you're talking about they already due back.
We just didn't want to delay sending them out. A lot of the agencies that have been funded for several years anticipate receiving the applications. We already get called before you ever send them out. When are you sending them out? So if we had waited for that meeting last week and then redrafted everything and sent it out, we would have been,
Months.
late getting them out and then pushing that process back even further. So we went ahead and sent them out as normally we would and requested them back in on July the 1st. And we got, they're all here, so, well, not all of them, but the big lines of them have made
Yeah,
it.
I'm quite sure you'll be getting some more in.
Well,
throughout
yeah,
the
and
month.
we anticipate that as well.
Okay.
And the ones that turn in late,
You still get
will they
those.
be accepted?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, because the process hadn't changed.
Okay, I know in the past, we've had some complaints about, from some citizens who tried to turn in their application, and I was told that they would not even accept it.
No, that's
Um,
not
We
ever
never-
been
we
true.
never-
Always accept
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Always, we never refuse anyone.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
always accepted.
I would hope so, so thank you for clearing that up.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Attorney Frazier?
I just wanted to point out too that the process identified in the audit, that we were slow on would not be addressed by modifying the application because it was concerned whether or not, or the concern was how the applications were graded or scored. And so that information that's already in the application is the information that will be considered if that process changes.
But if we change our process on the backside, there still should be, you still should let the organization know on the front side.
Well, no, it won't be changed. There's no way to change it for the 2020 cycle. It would not be changed until
The next time.
the next time around. It's not gonna be changed for this year.
Right. I totally agree. But I'm quite sure somebody would try to push to change it for 2020, being that we had that audit review. So thank you for clearing that up, and we'll move forward like it is for 2020.
Attorney Frazier?
That was it.
Thank you. Commissioner John Atkins?
Well, as the chair of the finance committee, I would encourage administration to look into that process and let's start the process of modifying our application assessment process to improve it. It may not be that we initiate that this year, but I'd like to make sure we have that process in place and moving forward. To my knowledge, we really don't start the assessment process till much later in the year. And therefore, in my mind, there's still time to use a new process this year. But I'll defer to the views of administration on that. But I think we certainly need to start looking into establishing a more structured process for assessing our NGO applications. That's one point I'd like to make. Second point I'd like to make is do I understand that there is no true deadline to when applications from NGOs will be accepted?
There is a deadline that is given, but we as administration don't have the authority to tell somebody we will not give you their application for consideration. So all applications that we received are brought to the commission for consideration regardless of when they are brought. It will be up to the body to determine whether or not they would actually enforce a cutoff.
Why even have one?
Well, when I was NGO chair, I think we did have a cutoff. And I would propose, the
Why do you have
NGO
one?
chair is not here today, but I'd propose that we establish a cutoff. I mean, it's only fair if you require some people to, I'll say to my colleagues, if you require some people to abide by the deadline and then you don't honor that deadline and allow anyone else to submit their application up till the end of the year, that's just not a fair process. So I'll be submitting a motion to the body that we establish a deadline on the cutoff. So I'll take care of that our next meeting. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yes, I just was gonna say that it's not the staff responsibility for the assessment of it. It's members that sit around and sort the 12 to establish the policy for the NGOs and then to move forward with that. But if we already sent out an application stating these are the guidelines, then how are we gonna change it midstream? If they filled it out and turned it in, those were the guidelines at the time. Now, if you're talking about changing the guidelines after they turned it in, then we might well throw all them applications in the trash and send out new ones because you're changing the game midstream. Yes, you are, because the guidelines are printed on the application as they are. So if you change it now, then the applications that they turned in are really no good because you changing the process. If my process was changed midstream, then maybe I need to change what I want to submit on the application. So I think that now that they're submitted, I mean, they're mailed out and they're submitted, then nothing we can really do but accept them and try to go at that. You can try to make some modifications, but like I said, you've already sent out the application and they're back in. Some of them are back in, some of them are not. And even the year that you was chairing, we had the deadline. yeah, everybody highlighted which ones were turned in late, but some of those were still awarded funding. And then if you got a new organization that don't know to call Haley and them, or that reach out to a commissioner late, maybe in August, it's still before we actually have our meeting. So do you penalize them? No, you don't. How can you penalize a new organization that don't know? And all they know is, okay, we formed an organization and we're asking for funding. And they send it out and they call one of the commissioners in August. You tell them you missed the 2020 time frame? No, we hadn't sat down and allocated 1 cent for 2020. So all that does is put more pressure on staff to get stuff done, but we hadn't met yet. So if we hadn't met, and we don't schedule to meet on here, I see, until maybe September. So if we hadn't allocated 1 penny before September, to me, an application could be turned in because we hadn't looked at the first one yet. To me, it's after the September is when you have an issue, but not before September. Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Y'all look so handsome in y'all red, white, and blue neckties. Are my ribs gonna burn? I just wanna know.
You gotta wrap in some foil?
No, Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. We can take this offline. We don't need to argue it here, but,
God bless you.
you know, first of all, the information that's submitted should be objective information. And how we choose to assess it is up to us.
It's not subjective.
It's identified in the process. As I said earlier, we may need to, it may be that we can't initiate a new process for this funding cycle, but I'd like to start working on it, and I asked the administration to take the first pass at that. I think that's only appropriate that they take the first pass at that, and then it's, to your point, it's submitted to us for finalization and approval. And I personally, you know, we all have our different views, but I personally think that that we should put additional discipline on the NGO process and have one process to evaluate all NGOs per year. I personally do not like the fact that we make most of our NGOs go through a process, and then any commissioner can then submit an additional NGO application anywhere through the course of the year, and these guys or gals get evaluated independently without having to compete against the others that are in the process. I don't view that as being fair either. So I'll be lobbying for one disciplined, structured annual process, and if someone misses that process, they have to wait till next year. But that's the way most funding mechanisms work in my experience. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, we suspend NGO activity for the year 2020.
Second.
No, we can't.
Communique.
Okay?
That's fine. It's
Todd, we put that on the agenda for next time.
it was a show of support.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Are there any more communiques? No other committee reports? Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to the President's report.
Put it on the agenda this
Hey.
You can't do it from my side.
All right. Well, good afternoon again, everyone, and happy pre-4th of July. Just an overview of my notes from Monday and a few quick announcements. First, I want to begin again by offering my condolences to those families of the victims of gun violence, and again to let them know that you are in my thoughts and in my prayers. And I have requested that we continue to collectively come together with an aggressive plan of action to address this gun violence. I've had 2 phone calls today from citizens, one of which is in my district, that are tired of having shootings on their streets. I gave them some information, and I want to share that same information with any of you who may not know what to do about the violence in your neighborhood. There's an app that you can add to your smartphones that will allow you to leave tips. It's Crime Stoppers without asking for your information. If you live inside the city limits, you can call 318-673-7300. That's a non-emergency number, and you can request an officer. If there are situations that you don't know what to do or who to call, you can call 211 from a landline or a cell phone, and they'll be able to assist you in finding the appropriate contacts, and you'll leave the 911 dispatcher's lines open to handle the emergencies. I want to give a huge accolades to the SOS for the prayer vigil that was held on Monday night at Winfield. And if you are a mother or a father who's lost a child to gun violence, they are asking to serve you. You can find them on Facebook at Save Our Sons. Last week, the U.S. South Central Human Trafficking Conference was held at LSUS, and it has had rave reviews. I just want to say thanks to all of those who were a part of that event, Laura McGehee, Clay, and all of those over at Juvenile Services for your efforts to join with many others to help fight human trafficking. Dr. Wilson, it was great to see you also there. Clay, would you come forward? I just want to put something out here real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. If you have a child that the parent has exhausted every option that they know, what should they do? How can they find out about the services that juvenile detention services actually provide for the public before that child gets into trouble?
There are two numbers I would call. I would recommend Volunteers for Youth Justice runs the FINS program, Families in Need of Services, and they have quite an array of services. And then just the main number, 226-6500 at Juvenile Services. So VYJ is 425-4413, and Juvenile Services 226-6500.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing. It's great to be able to pick up the phone and call you just by talking to someone who needs help. So I think that was an issue that I feel like we needed to address. I know we made some information available on the website, but just in case there's some parents who are listening who just cannot do anything with their children, we want to help on this end before you get to the other end. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And speaking of VYJ, on last evening, there was a newscast that was ran about needing mentors for the youth that are under their umbrella. I am championing this cause, and I'm asking and challenging each of you to consider becoming a mentor. Even with our busy schedules, we can carve out 2 visits a month to have lunch with them, or even just talk it out. Let us be that shoulder that they can lean on and trust in. And if you're interested, you can register at www.vyj.la.org, or you can get with me after meeting and I'll give you some additional information. I also want to say kudos to those youth from the Northwest CDC Technology Camp that came by and shared their amazing skills with us on Monday. And also to the Biz Camp attendees, those little entrepreneurs. If you're out there listening, we're very proud of what you're doing also. I want to remind everyone of the Freedom Finale on tomorrow, the fireworks that will be displayed over our beautiful Red River. Family fun event, live entertainment, safe and positive environment that Caddo and Bossier together unite in front of the natural resource that God has provided for us to join us and not separate us. Hope everyone gets to go out and see those displays. Lastly, I just want to remind everyone to be safe. Don't drink and drive. Call Uber or Lyft or a friend and enjoy your holiday weekend. And before I close, if my husband, Mr. Christopher Watts, is watching, I want to tell you thank you for 21 amazing years. Happy anniversary on tomorrow, and cheers to many more. And that will conclude my president's report.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
We have no public hearings, and we have no ordinances for final passage, no ordinances for introduction by title on zoning. We move to ordinances by introduction by title. Ordinance number 5890, close and abandon a portion of dedication for First Street located in Trosper Estate subdivision in the parish of Caddo. Ordinance number 5891 of 2019, authorizing amendment to ordinance number 5841 of 2019. Next, we need to ratify the minutes for
So moved.
July 1st.
Moved by the chair, second by Vice President Chavez. Please vote. And that passes 9-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 55 of 2019, authorize the Caddo Parish Administrator to approve the assignment bill.
So
of
moved.
sale.
Second.
It was moved by the chair and second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Please vote.
Madam President,
Okay, Commissioner John Atkins.
I'll be abstaining from this vote due to being a limited partner in Insight 4 Energy Partners.
Thank you for stating your reason for abstention. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 8 with 1 abstain. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
No old business, we move to new business. Reappointment of the Shreveport.
So moved.
Second. Okay, please vote. Okay, and that passes 9-0. Congratulations, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, for your reappointment to the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission.
Next, we move to communications and committee reports.
Next item, Mr.
I
Clerk.
have no cards for late arrivals or citizen comments.
Move
I
to
have
adjourn.
none
Second.
either. All right, meeting is adjourned. You did it. Go check on these.
Don't forget, if you